before I say the words. You know what those words are?
What?
Womp womp.
Mournful French horns.
Pornful French horns. Oh, mournful. I thought you said pornful. Like a saxophone.
Look, just because Tosk and O'Brien almost hooked up doesn't mean that's
true. Anyway, welcome to Star Trek Trek, our ongoing journey through the episodes of Star Trek as we watch them, whatever order we determine we want to do at the time. We are now on to Captive Pursuit, which is the sixth episode of DS9. Go on.
So every time I ask you, since we're rating everything on the show, every time I ask you, hey, can we jump ahead to some season 5 episode? On a scale of 1 to 10, how irritated are you with my suggestion?
I'm not that irritated. I think it's fine. Because we did Blink of an Eye. We did Angel 1 recently, so I'm fine with it. But there is that part of my brain is like, no, we must do everything in order that we have set. But no, it's fine. Whatever. We do whatever. I even say to people who come on guests, like, come on, what episode do you want to do? We'll watch it. It's fine. But yes, we have just...
We are almost as accommodating as Cisco is with everything that happens on his station.
Cisco was so pissed off in this episode, but just like, not pissed off, he was just done with this shit. He was just like, I don't care at all until Odo gets knocked out, and then he suddenly cares.
This feels like he had gotten his scheduled leave approved from some Rear Admiral in Starfleet. He was going to take the weekend off, and then suddenly something comes aboard a station and he has to deal with it. So he's only about half engaged.
Straight here. Okay, so this episode was written by Jill Sherman Donner. This is the only thing that she wrote for Star Trek. It was directed, however, by Corey Allen. Big name in Star Trek, done many, many episodes, including Encounter at Farpoint, The Game, The Circle, The Marquee Part 2. And another little fun fact. Okay, do you want the fun bit of trivia you were trying to work out during the watch-along?
Yeah, with Kelly Curtis, who wears that tiny little gold ribbon on her.
Do you know who her sister is? I was going to phrase this a different way, but you've already kind of halfway got there. And no, it's not Robin Lee. It's not Robin Lee Curtis. Not Robin Curtis.
Is it Robin Curtis?
It's not Robin Curtis.
No, it's not Robin. Okay, that's the only other Curtis I know.
Interesting, really. Not a major Curtis, a major film actor that has played many on-screen roles, including one opposite.
Tommy Lee Jones?
No, close.
Okay,
the middle name's right. No, played alongside Anthony Hopkins in a film.
Oh, Jamie Lee.
Jamie Lee Curtis. That is the actress who played Sarda at the beginning of the episode, who complains about Quark's rather frengy like knuckles dragging over her body unwarranted. Is actually is Jamie Lee Curtis's sister of all people. So yeah, that's your fun fact for this
Now
week.
That you say that, you can kind of see it in the face.
It's all there. Just put her across Hannibal Lecter. It'll all come out. Tosk's actor as well, the Tosk himself, Scott McDonald, also played... This is like one of the... Like we were talking about this during the watch-along, but yeah, this is one of his first acting roles, but the other notable Trek role he played was as Sub-Commander Navek, the Romulan from Face of the Enemy, who assists Troy in trying to smuggle the... I think it's the Romulan defectors across enemy lines.
The senator and his two aides. So I think this is actually Scotty McDonald's first acting role ever, because it doesn't show up in IMDb like by date, but in Star Trek it happens before Garanagar and whatnot. So I think this is actually his first acting role
as well, was
ever.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
And you picked him out as
Garanagar. He's a bunch of things in Voyager. I mean, he's a recurring character in Voyager, and then Dolam from Enterprise. So he's been in
as well.
4 different series.
Oh wow, he's done a lot. So this was an episode. I feel like
it certainly was.
It certainly was an episode of Star Trek. I feel like a lot of this it suffers from DS9's early season stuff. If the actors haven't quite found their roles, even though Cole Meany has been in a lot of, obviously TNG, his characters well established by this point, it still felt like they were struggling to kind of find the balance of where their characters were at in that point, and sort of the point where Kira's going like, I'm going to raise the shields because I'm an angry terrorist, and Sisko's just very aloof. Odo's just kind of half pissed off whole time, and there wasn't quite the subtlety you get from like the later episodes.
Yeah, everyone was off. Actually, Kira might have been. Kira and Dax are probably on point.
I mean, Dax
was quite often angry. Yeah, and Dax only had to like scan stuff, so she's good with that.
She was in
yeah, everyone was off. Cisco was, like I said, completely aloof until minute 22. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was Odo. We'll get to him in a second. Cisco's completely aloof, like someone is coming through the wormhole from the Gamma Quadrant. That doesn't happen very often. I'll send my chief engineer, who has no diplomatic experience, to make this first contact. And then I won't ask him what's going on until half hour into the episode.
Yeah.
And then you have Odo. Go on, love. Then you have Odo, the security chief on the station, who doesn't show up till minute 22. Like there's a security breach at the beginning, like the scanner goes off or whatever. Odo doesn't care. He's at Quark's having a drink. Quark actually is almost locked in. Like he's not quite there.
He's good for this one.
But he's pretty good. Yeah, so there are several of them. And then O'Brien himself is, you would think, because like you said, he had the longest to get to know his character, to get into his character. He felt weird. He felt like he was trying to do stand up with a really rough crowd, and like no one was laughing, and he just kept making lamer and lamer jokes and flailing.
The Tosk O'Brien's the comedy duo there almost worked, but it feels like they were trying to do a trope that's been done better in a lot of other places. Like I am an alien. I don't quite understand your human colloquialisms. Huh?
He even calls him the best straight man he's ever met. So, or the most natural straight man. So.
Just needs a cigar and a suit and just do this every now and then.
Now, they do have holosuites, so technically Joe Piscopo could have joined the episode.
Oh, could you imagine a reality where we didn't get Vic Fontaine, but we got Joe Piscopo instead?
Well.
Jesus.
Worst things have happened.
Worst things have happened, yeah. I don't know. Like, this felt like it took a long time for them to, like, there were scenes where you think, like, okay, it's the typical Trek. Someone gets used to the alien. Like Troy has done it with like alien species before. Maybe like, Picard has, Darmox is probably the other famous example of two cultures that are unknown to each other trying to overcome barriers. But it kind of just didn't feel like they had that kind of severe connection with it, that kind of serious connection with each other. It was more kind of just like, he's a bit simple and comes from a culture that we're not going to reveal what it is until later, but it turns out he's just fun prey for this race of fox hunting aliens.
Yeah, I have Star's voice in my head always, but it's what he said about Angel One, where it's like this episode wants to be deep, but it just ain't. That's what I feel about it, because it's so obvious what they're going for, like the hunting, and even Cisco gives like the Picard speech where it's like, we used to hunt sentient beings and now we don't because we're more evolved.
Except that one country that still does, but don't worry about them.
Yeah, it's Zimbabwe.
He even says they still do, but that's not important right now.
It's a big building with lots of people, but that's not important right now.
It's a big country with lots of people being persecuted, but that's not important right now.
All right, hold on. Let me back up a second.
Okay.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, we laughed at the idea, all right, you have a first contact. Who are you going to send? Like Miles O'Brien. Yeah. And then he does his weird shtick. But now I'm thinking about it, who would you send? You're not sending Odo to a first contact. He's not even in Starfleet. Kira's so angry, and she's not even in Starfleet. Dax, maybe.
I think it'd be Dax and Cisco. Like it would be the Starfleet. It would
probably be Dax. Yeah, well, we've already established Cisco wants nothing to do with this episode, so he's not going to send himself.
The very first species to come through the wormhole from the Gamma Quadrant, he's just like, I ain't got time for this. Like, let's not do this. Come on.
You're not sending Bashir, so it's like, who do you have left? You're not sending Quark. You're not sending Garrick. He's not even in the show yet. So it's like, who are you going to send? I guess actually O'Brien kind of sort of makes sense as long as the ship needs help.
It all comes to that scene when he's an when they're in ops and he's like, turn off your thrusters and do this and reverse your magnetic flow. And like, Cisco's like, you guys have got a connection. I can see it now. You guys got a connection. You go do that. I'll be in the holosuites. Don't disturb me for another 22 minutes. And then maybe I'll come and help out.
Yeah, Cisco's weird disconnection is because he goes from being completely aloof and speaking like in a low, gravelly baritone, and then I forget what even happens. Something happens. He gets upset and he starts yelling, and it's like, well, Cisco, if you're a little bit more proactive with what happens on your station, maybe this wouldn't have spiraled out of control. But
I think it's the moment when he suddenly realized like what crew he has. He's like, right, I've got an alien with another alien inside, or I've got a terrorist as my first officer, I've got every man who likes to suffer, and I've got a shapeshifter who's just pretty much trying to resign every week over some moral stance. And the most of the promenade.
He almost did too.
He almost did, yeah.
Odo stormed into Cisco's office. He was like, this. All right, I'm going to bring back something from old Treks that we dropped for I don't know what reason. But give me your hero character of the episode. Who's the straw that stirred this 42-minute drink? And don't take mine, because there's only one that I can possibly say.
I mean, I kind of want to say, O'Brien's the obvious pick, isn't it? But so I'm not going to do that because he's literally is the protagonist. He's literally the hero of the episode. But
you don't need to avoid. Just take the one that like jumped out to you as like this guy made the episode great or better or tolerable.
Well, in which case it's probably not O'Brien. But I kind of want to say the lead hunter. Like he came on board. He had his reasons for doing what he's doing. He's following his cultural lines. He, apart from maybe coming in guns blazing, but he explained himself to Cisco as like, this is what we do. And by the end of it, he's just like, yeah, we got a hunt going on. Like from his perspective, like he was kind of the driving force for actually getting the plot moving, as well as kind of no one was really. That's the other thing. No one was really. There wasn't a line crossed here with O'Brien, like, and they even say that at the end, like O'Brien frees Tosk, and then the hunt can resume, and like there's no real prime directive violation here because it is actually reinforcing their cultural idioms. It's
well, the prime directive is not about maintaining the status quo; it's about preventing interference. So even though things like Tosk's presence there kind of got things out of order, it's still not his role to try to put it back together. They're supposed to stay hands off.
But they had already interfered when they accepted Tosk to come on the station and helped him with his engines anyway, so I feel like...
Well, yeah, but I mean, if that were the case, they would never let anybody use the space station unless they were part of the Federation, so...
Well, that's the plan. It's like,
also, I think that's only supposed to apply to pre-warp civilizations, but they kind of fudge that now and again.
Like,
so Garrett Graham is your pick, huh?
Yeah, go on. What have you got in mind?
It's so obviously Quark. They spend 15 minutes walking through airlocks, doing absolutely nothing. You know, Miles is trying to crack his crappy jokes. Tosk is trying to grasp the fundamentals of the English language, and then they finally show up at Quark's. And Quark, with his dreamy bedroom eyes, like almost grabs Tosk's hand. He's like this close to his face. They had this great sexual energy between them.
He's like, so I can't tempt you into some erotic hollow. Tosk was like, I don't know what these are. It's like, come with me. I could show you desires that your flesh would not understand.
As soon as I saw Quark, I'm like, oh, thank you. Finally, let's get a little energy. Let's pick things up. So there's that. And then later the scene where O'Brien, some more bad sorry, Colm, I love you, but some more bad acting where like Quark is talking to him. Miles is trying to figure out what to do with the situation. And he's like, of course, I've got an idea. And it's really over the top.
What if I re-enable the security scan and pass it off as my own cooking? Delightfully devilish, O'Brien.
So yeah, he brought much needed energy to the episode. Yeah. And you know, even though they avoided doing another Quark Odo thing this soon after the last one, it's like fine. He didn't need it on his own. He's still great because Armin's a fantastic actor, and I'm not sure. I mean, it's so tough to say, but he did so much for Quark, especially coming off the heels of TNG, where Ferengi were such a joke. Like, he did so much for Quark and the Ferengi single-handedly that I don't think any other actor in Trek could have. I mean,
you're talking about hero for the entire series here at this point.
Yeah, so it's a small thing, but I think he really picked up the episode.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Like, it definitely did pick up, and I'm gonna flag up like I'm going to jump ahead and go for like a worst moment, and I'm going to just jump straight ahead and go into it because it's literally the next thing to talk about. But what the fuck? Odo got knocked out. Yes, Odo got a right hook, knocked out, and then all of a sudden spends the next 5 minutes hiding behind Cisco going, the scary alien mans are here. Like, what? You're a shapeshifter. We literally saw in the emissary someone swung a mace and it went straight through him. How did you get knocked out?
Right. Hold on. So for anyone who couldn't watch along with us or hasn't done so yet, here's what happened, literally happened. There's a face-off on the promenade. It's Cisco and the Bajoran security and Odo versus the Daft Punk helmet guys and Garrett Graham's character. And they do this like face-off. So Odo, there's like phaser fights or whatever. That's what brings him to the promenade. And Kira goes, do you want a weapon?
I have a weapon.
Constable or whatever she calls him. He goes, no, yeah, I never use. He does the Rocky Balboa. Hey, you know, I never use them. So
that's a good impression.
So he can't be bothered with phasers. So he walks right up to the alien. The alien right hooks him, like knocks him on his butt, even though he should have done the from the Phage, which we recently watched. He should have done the Doctor hologram, like your hand goes through the goo in my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, that's what you
But
expected,
apparently,
isn't it?
yeah, he
Like
can't turn it
Terminator
off. So he
style.
gets knocked on his ass. Bajoran's security scramble up, pick him up, and drag him backwards out of the fray. And then, in 2 shots later, his head pops up like next to Cisco's shoulder, like behind him.
The
And
bad
he's
men
like
are
trying to
hurting
figure
me.
out. It's so bad. Like it
weird.
makes no sense. And just after he boasted to Kira that he can handle things, he gets knocked out and then hides behind Cisco for the rest of the scene, and he's the security chief. I'm sorry, I completely stole your thunder on the
no, but
on the
it's no,
worst
that's
stuff.
fine. It is an absurd moment. It's so weird, and I think it stems down to the fact of like whoever's writing the episodes haven't quite read the series Bible and gone like, this is what Odo is. You shouldn't be able to punch him or knock him out. He is a shapeshifter. The only way I can think this is acceptable is like they caught him by surprise, but even still, like the way he got knocked to the floor was a very kind of like, even you said in the episodes like, oh, that was just some lieutenant, that wasn't Odo. Like, no, it actually was, and then he suddenly just pokes up behind. It
was so confused. You know, we might have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure we both saw Odo get punched and then dragged away, and then he pops back up behind Cisco.
Must have been. That's what I like to think happened. But yeah, this, and then we kind of get to like the like you say, the realization of of O'Brien, kind of going like, I could just let him go, which is like the weakest eureka moment. Like that's the first thing you think of, like in that situation. Like, well, I could let him go, but it's against the Prime Directive. But it should have been a deliberation between him and Quark, going like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Like, here's my friend. I've known him for 5 minutes, and we're like best buds. We're about to kiss on his shuttle. Who's Keiko? I don't know. Never heard of her.
I'm sorry. I'm letting you rant because there's. Okay, here we go. They actually like this. Director Corey Allen saw this as an important episode in terms of DS9's attempts to differentiate itself from TNG. Quote, in general, the DS9 shows are not squeaky clean as the NG, the next gen shows, where the characters are allowed to be more flawed, and that allows for more latitude in interpretation. There's this wonderful moment in the episode of realization almost without words, even though it's completely with words, when O'Brien is sitting at the bar with Quark and discovers the possibility that it's conceivable to break the rules of the Federation, which hitherto had been inconceivable to him. Inconceivable.
Literally had an episode in The Next Generation where he considers defecting with Robert Maxwell and his buddy. Like, it's not that inconceivable.
I think the director is just real proud of his job on this episode, and he probably should be.
Change the rules? Inconceivable.
It definitely does have it has a different feel to TNG.
Yeah.
Like, just because of the way it's shot and everything.
Like, I'm a big fan of early DS9 because it has a feel to it, and I like some of that kind of like when they get into the Bajoran politics stuff, like that's kind of cool, but I feel like this is definitely like the weakest of that because it doesn't feel like, it just feels like it feels like it was written and it probably was written before the series aired or written before they'd met the cast. Like, this doesn't feel like Cisco because they probably wrote it without knowing Avery Brooks was in the role. I think it's when they've suddenly realised, I think they must get to about season 3 and they go, wait, he was in Spencer for Hire? He played Hawk? Oh shit, shave his head, give him a goatee, let's get that guy back.
I mean, well, it's hard to know because Avery is so eclectic and he bounces around with such like weird energy that you really don't know. Like, that could just actually be him. But
probably is.
Yeah, you say it's shot different, has a different feel. I'm just thinking about the corpses with like the dry ice smoke coming off them after they shot him with that crossbow rocket launcher energy bolt. Yeah, so
with the crossbow, the Wookiee bowcaster they all seem to fire, but they fire sideways because it's cool.
Everything is just I don't know. It was a weird energy.
So, do you think? I don't know. Has another series done this episode? And I say, what other Trek cast could have pulled off this story episode? I feel there's a TNG thread with this. I feel like they've done something very similar.
It's definitely happened before.
Yeah,
where it's happened a lot with TNG, where someone requests asylum and then like 2 angry warring factions.
Yeah.
Like there's Okana. There's the one where the guy becomes like a ball of pure energy and heals people with touch.
Oh, John Doe. Yeah,
John Doe. They want to pull him back. So it's definitely happened a couple times. Not exactly like the whole hunt thing, but then you have the whatchamacallits from Voyager, the guys with the array and the mask and their faction and timelines.
Ray in the Mask. Nope, that's
wow,
gone.
they're so memorable.
That memorable episode. Okay. If
The Hirogen.
the Hirogen, of course,
The
yeah.
Hirogen.
Okay, yeah, of course they are.
Yeah, because you have
No,
you
they
have
were
a lot of
they were
hunting
cool.
episodes
They
in
kind of,
Voyager.
I feel like they looked at the Hunters and went, "Can we make these better and cast Tony Todd?" Then yes, you've got the Hirogen.
Yeah.
If that was
You only
Tony
need to
Todd
answer that second
instead,
question.
yeah, it's like I am hunting the Tusk. That would have been much better. That's my best Tony Todd, by the way. I can't. No, who can?
It was not great.
I could feel your disgust coming through the internet. It's just like, what are you doing? If you were to recast, I'm not going to go for the main cast. Like, if you were to recast Tosk and the lead hunter guy, someone from modern day, a modern day actor, who would you go for?
See, I'm so bad with this because I don't watch much.
No,
I just
don't
have
either.
Star Trek on a loop, so I don't watch enough modern television. See, and if I say Jack Black again, I'll be unoriginal, so I can't go there.
Jack Black as the Tusk?
No. Okay, because there's this moment, right, where he's trapped behind the force field, and he starts doing this like weird, like dance, and then he does the Guinan like hands of fury thing. So I'm just thinking, I'm trying to think of a good physical actor who could do the role, and
give me Denzel Washington as the hunter.
Let's just stick with Tony Todd. I think we've already improved it
no.
enough.
Tony Todd's filling every role ever. Okay.
He can play Tosk and the Hunter at the same time.
That'd be great. We just have the old Tony Todd show. That'd be great. Todd v Todd.
Oops, all Tony Todd.
all Todds. Okay, so we did something new in the watch along. If you didn't watch the watch along, then we decided we were going to go for a pre-rating. We were going to decide what did we remember about. Okay, come on.
Should we do best worst?
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry,
the rating should wrap it up.
We'll do that. Okay, stand by. But best and worst moments. Go on auto. I'll give you the field for this one.
What was your worst moment?
My worst
was the Odo thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's my worst moment. That was awful.
That is close. Yeah. Okay, my worst. It could be my best, but I think it's my worst. Is when we found out that canonically his name is Quark, and his brother's name is Rom Quark. Yeah. The brother's Quark. It's like you say that if like that's the last name, right? So it's like Mario was his name.
Luigi
so
Mario.
Apparently, which that devastated me too to find out. So apparently his name is Quark. And it's ruined the series for me. So that's
give me a Quark.
But it's actually it was a nice diversion from a boring episode. So that could also be my best moment. Let me think. What was my best moment? It's probably also Quark. I just the story didn't suck me in. It's kind of so full of itself. But at the same time also bored with itself. Like if you show me the characters are bored, like Cisco,
it doesn't help.
Then it's hard for me to get into it too. So
you're just gonna. We'll send the chief engineer off to deal with this. Whatever. Who cares? Just aliens. We've got loads of them. I've got 3 of them on the ops station with me right now. Like, come on, it's not original. Give me something decent.
I've got two more locked in my quarters. Yeah, it's Quarks all the way down. Because like I said, the energy picked up when he was there. Yeah. The weird like sexual tension with him and Tosk that we're reading too much into. I just I like a good Armin Sherman. I don't think Quark is ever disappointed in an episode. Maybe Lumba, but
Lumba's great. Lumba's brilliant.
Oh, we'll get to that because I don't think
that may be one we skip to. We should do an all Ferengi season. We should do like 4 Ferengi episodes in a row. That'd be great.
All right, so my best and worst, I guess, is Quark and Quark. Quark
and Quark, attorneys at law. No, I think like my worst moment was definitely that Odo thing, like him getting knocked out, like what the fuck, like that's just not, and then him popping up, like that was awful.
That was funny though.
It was hilarious, but he's just like hiding behind Cisco, going like, "I'm the chief of security," but they're shooting the energy weapons. I can't do it. Like what the fuck? No, come on. My best moment isn't really a moment, but it's more makeup. Like Tosk's makeup and the Hunter's makeup were really good, and even the lady at the beginning, the Kelly Curtis, Sada, who wasn't named, but when we begin, even her makeup was excellent. Like Michael Westmore's doing his best work on this series, just giving us some real fucked up foreheads and some great like lizard alien makeup. Like it was really good.
And the bow on top of that was the literal bow on top of that.
Yeah, the little gold bow.
A nice touch. Yeah.
My eyes are down here.
All right, now we can rate this.
Now we can rate this. So we did a pre-rating beforehand to say what do we remember about this episode and what would we rate it. What did you give it, Otto? Before
I pre-rated it a 4. Wait, hold on. I've got the thing all.
Oh yeah. What's our rating criteria? Go on. What are we doing?
I pre-rated this 4 Daft Punk rocket launching Wookiee weapons out of 10.
Daft Punk rocket launching Wookiee weapons. That's a good one.
Try saying that 10 times fast.
I'll send that to Stars later. You sadly couldn't make it. So you previous you rated it at 4 Daft Punk rocket launching Wookiee weapons. I gave it a 6.5 previously. So what would you give it now, having watched it?
What would you give it now?
Oh, I'm down to a. Do you know what? You're going to be surprised at this. I'm going to give it a 4.8 because I did 6.5. I forgot a lot of how boring this episode was. I forgot how uninterested. Like it sounds like it's a good morality play, and the whole Tosco Bryan stuff has potential, but it's kind of squandered. It didn't feel great, so I'm gonna go with a 4.8. I can't quite rate it a 5. I don't feel like it sits in the middle for me. I feel like it's just below, but I don't really want to give it a 4. But go on, what are you giving it?
I do miss Stars for this one because I think he probably would have expounded on the morality. But he would have defended. He probably would have enjoyed it. And so if it's just us two bashing on it, then of course it's going to go down. Yeah, I pre-rated it 4 Daft Punk rocket launching Wookiee weapons out of 10. Go on. And it was even more boring than I remembered. And it felt low rent. Like it felt low budget. The transporter sequence was cool as hell for the Daft Punk guys. That was a fun effect. But beyond that, we're walking. Okay, the incompetence of sending your chief engineer alone for first contact, and then they walk around airlocks for 10 minutes. You had the shtick of like bad comedy between Miles and a straight man Tosk, who can't pronounce anything. Oh, like he can't pronounce O'Brien smoothly, but they throw the concept of a silent at him, and he's supposed to understand that. There's the fact that Kira and Dax and Julian got absolutely nothing in this episode. Which, fine, you want to make it an O'Brien episode, but give him like more than one line. Cisco completely checked out and then angry for 5 minutes and then checked back out again. Odo, all over the place.
Oh, I will give. I tell you what, I will give. There was one other good scene that was nearly my favorite moment. Is when Cisco says to Odo, just like, "Don't rush,
sorry,
don't rush," and like you kind of get a good 2 minutes of Odo walking slowly to the turbo lift.
That's right,
looking confused.
Actually, I did mean to make that my best one of the episode, so I'll slot that in there. Yeah, because it's great. He tells him don't rush, and he stares at him, and he starts to walk away, and then he stops and he stares back at him a second time. Like, did I really hear that right?
You get that. There's almost like the TOS, like music's going to be in the background. It's like, it's the big joke.
Yeah. So I know I've been talking a lot. I'm my pre-rating was 4. This is not fun to sit through. This is another one that I might skip on a rewatch.
Ooh.
But at least it wasn't actively offensive to anyone, as far as I know. And there's a good idea executed abysmally. So I'm going to give this. Look at pick up every time. 2.1 Daft Punk rocket launching Wookiee weapons out of 10.
Fantastic. Well,
this isn't as easy as it looks. So props to
no, this is pure science.
Our normal rating guy.
This is that means an average. We've got an average of 3.5, which has dropped Star Trek back from a 6.0 to a 5.9.
We're going in reverse.
We're going backwards. It's offensive to Hirogen. You're right, Buta. Right. So
we've had some good episodes from DS9 already, especially Emissary. We've had some moments where they flesh out characters marvelously, where we've had episodes where they give everybody something to do, and this missed on like all of those marks.
Yeah.
So,
it's not great, but we will be. Sorry, I was literally lost for words for that for a moment. We will be back in a couple of weeks. If you're watching on stream, stick around because we're going to watch The Cloud from Voyager very shortly. But for everyone else,
this one I am more excited for.
We'll see. For everyone else, we will see you in a couple of weeks for The Cloud, probably. So I'll see you then. Live long and prosper. Ta-ra. And I'm going to go to the toilet very quickly, and then we'll start the next episode.